Timepiece is set 7 o'clock, so we call the meeting to order. Welcome to everybody. We do have a quorum with Ms. Kaminsky being absent. Welcome everybody. And at this time, we will open the meeting by having a moment of silence that you can observe as you so choose. Thank you. Now if you'd stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, and I would assume from the setup we have a student report tonight.
We do, Mr. President.
It looks like fun, too.
Hi, my name is Emily. Hi, my name is Avery. My name is Andrew. My name is Christian. My name is Zane. Coma Coma is an iPad app used to create stop-motion animation. In class, we decide as teams which tasks and materials to use for the animation. Tonight, to help with time, tasks and supplies have been chosen. You will work as a team to create an animation video, 30 or more pictures. When you have completed your animation, save your work to the gallery. Play back to see your awesome video. Please join your partner and begin.
School board, if you'll join me, and I'm going to partner you up with the students. And have you two, Joel and Benjamin.
Do we know his office
Christian,
participation?
Dr. Randall, if you'll go with Andrew. If you will go with Avery. Now have you also go with Emily. Wait, this side first.
Just like that. All right. Take a picture. Yes.
That's a t-shirt jacket. It looked like her shoes and her.
Hi, it's okay if you're not done. Students, would you please play your video? so they can see the movement of the object.
Oh, that is. So you do.
That's pretty cool.
No kidding.
Hi, my name is Miss Brown. I'm the art teacher at Taylor Ray. Just want you all to remember that art and technology go hand in hand. The fine arts also support all subject areas with confidence and pride. I would like to thank you for this wonderful experience. The students did a fabulous job. I'd also like to say thank you, parents, for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, stand up, parents. I'll see you, Timothy. Thank you.
Thank you. Go Rockets.
Yeah. Thank you, Taylor Ray students.
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much. So much fun.
You know, it's amazing when you see our kids doing something that creative with technology. You have so many folks who started out with a chalkboard and slate, and then they want to return to that. So this has been just an awesome experience for our kids.
I think maybe it's time to recycle and go back to school again. It's too much fun now. Thank you again. All right, do we have any recognitions or awards tonight?
We do not.
All right, how about introductions?
Do not.
About audience patrons?
Yes, Mr. President, we are now at the portion of the meeting when the board allots time to hear persons who desire to make comments to the board. Persons who wish to speak to the board must sign up to do so as they arrive, and they must indicate the topic about which they wish to speak. No presentation shall exceed 5 minutes. Delegations of more than 5 persons shall appoint 1 person to represent their views. The board will hear the concerns, but the board cannot deliberate, discuss, or make a decision on any subject that is not posted on the agenda. Persons who speak to the board cannot complain about a district officer or employee in open session. Such concerns are heard in closed session after proper posting of the agenda item has occurred. As you come forward, please state your name and your address, and our first speaker is Dan Ives.
I'm Dan Ives and reside at 2500 Pecan Drive, Rosenberg. I'd like to bring to your attention some issues of concern. I would ask the board's consideration to effectively use your microphone when speaking. I'll soon be in my 80s, and my hearing is not the best. But I can always hear Dr. Randall when he is speaking, which indicates I don't need special accommodations. Also, the microphone arrangement at the speaker's podium needs to be improved so the audience can hear what is being said. It will be appreciated. The board workshop agenda should reflect all items to be potentially discussed, or at least furnish copies of the regular meeting agenda for patrons attending workshop meetings so they can follow along. This would also be of value for LCISD personnel attending board workshops for staff development. Recently, I made a public information request for specific sections of departmental functional or operational audit, which are in the hands of district personnel as working documents, not papers. The district has probably spent close to $1,000 in attorney fees in soliciting the Texas Attorney General to deny me access to the audit information about district management and construction management. My initial request indicated to contact me for any needed clarification of my request, but no, The school district's attorney has thrown up a wall in a 9-page letter to the Attorney General with issues of safety and security related to terrorism and computer networks, including a reference to the Texas Homeland Security Act. The public deserves to see and hear what the audit reflects about the exorbitant costs of construction management and information as to how the administration turned a blind eye to apparent unethical collaboration regarding former board members and a construction management agent. These are functional and operational matters which are not deemed exceptions to the Texas Public Information Act. I ask the Board of Trustees to provide such information in accordance to law and make it available to the public. And I thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Larry Moten.
My name is Larry Moten. I live at 4506 Edgewood, Rosenberg, Texas, and I'm here to address the bond issue that passed. It passed by a narrow margin, but I would like this board to know the far-reaching effects that it has on all the property owners in these communities. You say in your argument that it'll be an $8 tax increase for every home. That is incorrect. We are taxpayers that are already being taxed over 10% every year. And the taxation is unfair. You guys delivered back in August, I believe, to put this on the agenda, and it narrowly passed. But I want all of you to know the far-reaching effects it is going to have on many of my neighbors in this community because the taxes will be too high. When the taxes go up, that means that your mortgage will go up. It has far-reaching effects, far more reaching effects in this community than you think. Every neighborhood does not need a new elementary school. We don't need a new press box. We don't need AstroTurf. But these are what the tax dollars will go for. And the only other concern I have is, in my neighborhood, which is a relatively new neighborhood that I've been in for 5 years, I paid $100,000 for my home. They tell me my home now is worth more than $185,000 in less than 2 years. That does not make any sense. So my taxes skyrocketed. And I'm speaking from a personal standpoint of view. The money that I pay for my mortgage in taxes now, I pay more than a quarter to a half of what I pay for my mortgage in taxes. And that is everyone in my neighborhood. So I am asking this board to, as a first, everyone take a 50% pay cut so that we can all be in accordance with what everybody else in the community is suffering from. That is what I have to say tonight. I will be back again. This is not going to stop. Every one of you will be contacted. If we go to the Attorney General, that is fine. But these taxes are outrageous. They've got to stop. There's got to be a cap on them. I have contacted Governor Abbott. I have contacted the representative for this area and also the state senator. This will have to stop. I thank you for your time. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
That's all, Mr. President.
Thank you. This time we'll approve the minutes from the previous two meetings. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes from the October 17th, 2017 special meeting? Ansel, is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Any discussion, questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? There are none. Thank you. Could Could I have a motion to approve the minutes from the October 19th, 2017 regular board meeting, please?
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Ziegler. Is there a second? Mr. Hubenak? Any discussion or questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? There are none. Thank you. Board member reports?
Okay, I guess it's me.
You got a bunch of them. Go ahead.
I do. Unfortunately, you have to listen to me and make sure you can hear me okay, because I have a hard time getting close. We had a Board Facilities Committee meeting this evening, and there's the final closeout on the board agenda tonight for Pink Elementary repairs and chiller replacements. Don Carter Elementary School, the structural steel has been erected in the main core of the building and 4 classroom wings, and it's coming along nicely. Design is continuing to prepare for bidding after the first of the year for the new Culver Elementary School, the new Roberts Middle School, and Fulshire High School shell space. Construction is well underway for the new maintenance and operations facility, the natatoriums at George Ranch High School, Foster High School, and Fulshire High School. And the band hall additions at Terry High School and Lamar Consolidated High School are working very well. The baseball complex at Terry High School is moving right along quickly and hopefully be guaranteed to be ready by the beginning of baseball tryouts. And softball, excuse me. And HVAC web-based controls are well underway. And the district-wide site lighting, replacement of exterior lighting is expected to begin in mid-December. So those were the main issues that we discussed this evening on the board facilities meeting. On Tuesday night, we had a committee meeting for technology. And I'm just going to pull a couple of little items that were very interesting. And one is that our district is getting a Hope Line and Speak Out phone app for students to load on their phone to report bullying or seek other types of support. The code complete on the iPhone app, waiting for developer account to be approved so we can submit app for approval. And the next phase will be for an Android app. So that's very good, in my opinion, get that so kids can report and have an access line. On tonight's agenda, we have the item for the backup infrastructure upgrade, which is definitely needed because ours, with all the growth in new schools, is filled up. And a couple other areas under Class Link, which I know some of you remember that this was used for the teachers to put on where kids can go to textbooks, get homework from. And this month, we processed over 178,449 logins, bringing our yearly total to 319,791, which already surpasses last year, and this is only November. And of the 178,449 logins last month, 52,758 were from student homes outside of school hours. So they're being able to use this site when they're in and out of school. And let's see, that's about it. The other one I like is that we have under the learning management system, Canvas. This is where parents can sign up and a portal for them. And since October 9th, over 900 parent accounts have been created since that date. And since August, Canvas has been accessed 171,515 times through the ClassLink portal. So our technology is busy, working hard, and getting things out to the parents. And for myself, it feels like all I've been doing is running from one end of the district to the other. Although we did attend the State of Schools address between Dr. Randall and Fort Bend and Stafford. And of course, Dr. Randall always makes us proud, and I always learn a little bit more about what kids are doing in this district. I think I know, and then you throw something new out there, so it's very exciting. And we also, several of us attended, Arredondo every year does an Elementary National Honor Society, and we were there for the induction and talk about proud parents. They are very excited to see their kids walk across that stage and take that pledge. And I guess between football games, craft shows, pro-grad banquet at Foster High School, and Veterans Day programs, plus yesterday, reading at Beasley for the, I love it, their first annual reading symposium, and the kids were very excited. They made the whole day about reading. So, and I also got to deliver a few of the LEAF grants, and I'm sure we'll get that update maybe next month of how many grants went out to all the school teachers in the district and how much money, and it is surpassing last year's amount. So thank you to Janice Knight and the LEAF Board and all the people that help make that possible for the teachers.
Good, thank you. Anybody else? I think you covered the waterfront for most of us. Thank you.
I know, you're just running around as much as I am, if not more.
That's all right. It's a joyous thing. I mean, the reading at Beasley yesterday was just, I had first graders and fifth graders, and it was just great, great fun. All right, Dr. Randall?
I do not have any reports, Mr. President.
All right, this time we'll establish consent agenda. Moving right into it. Item A1, item A2, item A3, A4, B1,
And you have to,
We have to pull that.
pull and share the numbers that you.
For the vote.
oh, yes. B1 we have to, okay. All right, that's, yes. B1 we pull that because we have to read the numbers. B2, B3, B4, B5. We need to pull B6, B7, B8, B9, pull B10, B11, B12, B13, C1, and D1. On the consent agenda, we have A1, A2, A3, A4, B2, B3, B4, B5, B7, B8, B9, B11, B12, B13, C1, and D1. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second for that?
I'll second it.
Hands here. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Thank you. That passes. Consent agenda has been adopted. Let's go ahead and take care of the other action items, then I'll read the donations for the district.
Next item is that the Board of Trustees adopt the order canvassing returns and declaring results of schoolhouse bond election of November 7th, 2017. And those numbers.
Yeah, we need a motion to approve this with the numbers of votes and listed on the page there, Proposition A. So we need a motion to approve with the votes included, number of votes in the motion.
Here it is.
If you want to write it down, 4721 to 30.
Yeah. That's what we're-
4721 to 3048.
Okay, I can make that motion that we adopt, that we approve
Canvass
the
return.
the returns of the election of November 7th, 2017 bond election, with the votes of 4,721 for and 3,048 against.
Thank you. We finally got that. Do I have a second to that motion? Montel. Any discussion, questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Thank you. The motion carries. Item B6 is the casting of votes for the Fort Bend Central Appraisal District Board of Directors. We need to make that motion, including the number of votes and the person for whom we want to cast that vote.
I'll make the motion. I'd like to make the motion that we cast, if I do this right, 569 votes for William F. Schweer.
Second to that? Darrell, any questions, discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, there are none. The motion carries. Last item is B10. On page 88, which is a consider approval of change order number 1 from the natatorium at George Ranch High School. That's adding $212,000 to the to that order, excuse me, for the construction of an additional parking lot. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion that we approve the change order for the natatorium at George Ranch High School.
Do I have a second to that?
I'll make a second.
Discussion or questions? All those in favor, raise your hands. All those opposed? Motion defeated. Thank you. At this time, I'll read the donations, which are generous this month. Arredondo PTO donated $18,481 to purchase an 8-seat swing set of 2 basketball goals for hardtop on the playground. The church donated $10,000 to Common Threads. Foster High School classes of 2012, 14, 16, and 17 donated $8,460 for a hallway TV project at Foster High School. Frost PTO donated $6,025.10 to purchase 3rd and 5th grade motivation math student materials and teacher guides for Frost Elementary School. Hubenack PTA donated $35,034.81 to purchase shades for the playground at Hubenack Elementary School. Meyer PTO donated $6,000 to pay for educational field trips for students at Meyer Elementary. And LECS Electrical Contractors donated $5,000 to baseball at Terry High School. Thank you so much for all those donations. Always appreciated. This time we have some informational items. I believe we have a presentation on the operational audit. Folks from McConnell Jones.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Murphy, and I am the engagement partner for the McConnell and Jones district-wide department review, and I just kind of want to go over the results with you this evening. First of all, I would like to thank the audit committee, which consisted of Mr. Steenbergen, Dr. Harrell, and Mrs. Kaminsky for your time in help reviewing the report with us, and Dr. Randall and all of your cabinet members for all of the cooperation exhibited during the performance review. We started our interviews back in February of this year, and we went over a wealth of operational data and analyzed just tons of information regarding your school district. And so these were, this is the table of contents to our presentation, so if you can go ahead to the next slide. These were the review, can you hear me? These were the review objectives to review across the district, to analyze current services to ensure that the district is ready to meet the needs and demands of a fast growth district, and to assess added services, processes, functions that will be required to accommodate future growth. As everyone likely knows, the school district currently has about 30,000, I think it's 829 students, and the projected growth over the next 10 years is for you to be a 50,000 student school district. And so I really would like to applaud the school district for having the foresight to go in and to determine the types of operational enhancements and staff and resources enhancements that you will need to make in order to meet the needs of that growth. And so during our, these are a few of our fieldwork statistics. So during our time here, we did about a month's worth of field work. Interviews, 207. We did 66 focus groups. We visited a total of 5 high schools, 4 middle schools, 5 junior high schools, 14 elementary schools, and other facility visits, 10. And so our team, which comprised of about 19 consultants. That gives you like the highlights of our fieldwork and statistics. Next slide. And so what we did was we measured your operations against what we consider to be best practices. Our firm, McConnell & Jones, has conducted over 60 management and performance reviews and similar types of engagements in 13 states. And through that activity, we have developed a database of what we call best practices that are used typically by other school districts, the Council of Greater City Schools, the Texas School Performance Review, and other agencies. And so we compiled those best practices and then measured your school district against them. And so you can see here the highlights of those results. I'm not going to go over them, but overall we had 173 best practices outlined in the report. Lamar Consolidated met 86 of them, 87 were not met. You have a total of 47 accomplishments, and what an accomplishment is something that we feel like that the school district is doing over and above what they would need to be doing in their normal day-to-day activities. And so, quite honestly, 47 accomplishments, that would be a lot for this type of evaluation, because what we're really trying to delve into and assess is operational improvements. There were a total of 96 observations, and then there are 105 recommendations contained in the report. Next slide. This report is going to contain what we call an investment, and that is because, as I indicated just a few moments ago, that you're preparing for growth. And so what we've come up with is we've gone through and assessed and really put a fiscal impact or a monetary dollar value to a lot of the things that you're going to need in order to get to and to be prepared in terms of staff resources and just overall infrastructure for the future growth. And so we have determined that over a 5-year period, beginning in this current school year, which is 2016-2017 through 2020-21, and you can see there on a year-by-year basis the amount of money that we're estimating that you're going to need to put into the district to kind of so that you will be ready to be a 50,000 student school district, and it's roughly $21 million. Our savings that we outlined are roughly, if you look at net of like one-time savings, are roughly $84,000. Next slide. This slide just highlights kind of a net savings and summary by chapter. Just as I indicated, you're going to see when you get your final report, which we have in the back, there's 11 chapters, and then they're organized by, we give kind of the highlights of each one of the operational areas, and you can see them there: district organization and management, educational service delivery, special education, community relations, human resources, facilities, construction, use and management, financial management, food service, transportation, technology management, and safety and security. And so this slide here summarizes basically the fiscal impact and the amount of investment that we are recommending that you make for each one of those operational areas. Next slide. Going forward, we'll just talk about kind of the highlights of the recommendations and the key accomplishments. In the interest of time, we have not listed all of them, but I'll just go over a couple of them. And so some of your key accomplishments in terms of district organization and management. The boardogram is an effective communication tool to keep the board informed and district initiatives on track. And then the superintendent provides ongoing mentorship to the cabinet members outside of the normal structure and cabinet meetings. Then your key recommendations basically are just coming up with succession planning activities. We're recommending that you the board have a comprehensive continuing board training and orientation system. I know that through this election you have a couple of new board members. We think that that's going to be key to their understanding. The good point about doing a assessment or an evaluation like this at this time, it really educates your new board members and as well as your existing board members on your current operations and the kind of things that you're going to need to do in the future. And so it's really kind of like a soup to nut assessment of all of your operations. We are recommending also that you implement a comprehensive, fully integrated strategic plan. The district in the past, we feel like, relied a lot on your district improvement plan, and a comprehensive facilities plan is going to really benefit you, particularly for your future growth. We're recommending that I talked about the succession plan, assess your principal, short and long-term administrative and operations support, making sure that they're trained and really trying to retain them. We think that you are a little short, understaffed in your central administration, and so we have a very comprehensive recommendation about what your staffing possibly needs to look like, again, in order for you to prepare for your future growth. We're recommending also that you streamline the superintendent's span of control and consolidate your teaching and learning functions, and to hire a deputy superintendent to assist with your succession plan and making certain that you have the appropriate infrastructure at your cabinet level. Next slide. Other key accomplishments are for educational service delivery. All LCISD schools met standard on the state assessment. Your principals and teachers and instructional coaches disaggregate their data. You really use data really very well at this school system to facilitate teaching and learning. And the district has aligned its disciplinary guidelines across your secondary campuses to enhance your policies and procedures. Your key recommendations are to develop a staffing model for your Title I schools. Those are your schools with your typically your economically disadvantaged students, and they tend to need more support at Title I schools. Continue to update and refine your curriculum. Make sure that you're developing a long-range curriculum plan. We know that's underway, but continue on that plan. Formally develop and implement and document your procedures for your educational service delivery, and then increase your ethnic and language diversity in your GT program. Next slide. Special education, a couple of accomplishments. Your student performance on your state assignments. Assessments in 2015 and 2016 was higher than the overall average in Region 4. Your special education department restructured its support services to have campuses rather than program focus. And then your special education parent advisory committee had a number of parents involved, and we thought that was a commendable practice. Key recommendations are to implement procedures that effectively address your academic behavior issues, establish guidelines capping the number of special education students in regular education and inclusion classes, and then develop an inclusion blueprint that incorporates best practices and establishes the expectations of your program. Next slide. Community relations. You have a fantastic complement of programs, particularly for a school district this size. Your internal social support programs are outstanding. Your 501c3, which is although it's outside, the foundation raises about $350,000 annually, and again, exemplary particularly for a school district this size. And then annually, you do a staff survey, and I want to say that which surveys about a total of 19,000 students and parents and community stakeholders. Key recommendations, basically, just look at the priorities of the department and make sure that you're doing implementing a more centralized approach. Redefine your DIP goals to make sure that they're aligned with the strategic plan, which we proposed, and then require all school district volunteers to complete an application and make sure that they are undergoing a criminal background check. Next slide. Your human resources department staff developed and implemented desktop procedures for your human resources positions, and then you have an outstanding teacher training program for your substitutes. Key recommendations, develop a plan to stabilize auxiliary retention, staff retention, and then just look at your overtime policies and make sure that they are consistently followed, and develop a report for each manager to monitor your overtime and comp time. Next slide, facilities. Staff labor, you've done, the district is 385 square miles. You've done a geographic staffing model, which is a best practice to make sure that you're deploying your staff efficiently, and you've got your energy management systems are very strong in terms of trying to control your costs, because that's one of the costs that in a lot of school districts tends to get out of control. Your key recommendations, we would like to see that you, it's succession planning, we would like to see you hire a facilities planning director in order to prepare for succession, and also to make sure that you're working on putting more concentration internally on facilities planning, updating all of your planning components. The district hasn't had a facilities plan updated since 2002, and so you're building a lot of schools, and so it's important that that be updated at this time. Optimize your school facility utilization, particularly in your secondary tracks, to better balance your enrollment. Conduct a cost-benefit analysis on your outsourcing. Right now, you use Region 4 for your key staff, your management staff. We'd like to see you do that to make sure that that is still going to be best for your district, and at least do that every 2 years, and then update your staffing allocation formula in maintenance, custodial, and lawn works. Next slide. Your financial management. The district participates in the Alliance of Excellence in School Budgeting, and basically you do a great job with selling your surplus property online. Key recommendations. How am I on time? Am I past my 15 minutes?
No, you got a little bit left.
Okay. Link the annual budget to long-term strategic planning. Produce an award-winning budget document for your fiscal year 2019. Use your TASBO policies and procedures template as a starting point to develop comprehensive policies and procedures for your critical financial and accounting related tasks. Intensify your efforts to collect outstanding facilities receivables, and enforce your policies for that requires users of the facilities for non-school events to make sure that they pay up front, so you collect all your money, and then develop comprehensive workers' comp and safety awareness, and a training program that uses claims data to contain and control your cost. Next slide, food service. Key accomplishments, you've got a financially sound program. Your food service department created a district coordinator position to provide supervision, enhanced supervision and oversight for your cafeteria operations. The dietitian introduced new menus for students that require special diets, and your food service program is working with local partners to better educate their employees just about nutritional food guidelines and cost savings. Your key recommendations are to develop and staff your new organizational structure to increase the level of oversight and support at your different district campus food service operations, and to make sure that you're, again, preparing for growth. Document and implement your standard operating policies and procedures in your cafeterias. Really increase your breakfast and lunch participation. In all honesty, that's a recommendation that almost every school district needs to adhere to. Increase your labor productivity, and then establish and enforce a policy to reduce the non-payment of meal charges. Next slide, transportation. Basically, your communication process, your accomplishments, your communication process and procedures have been enhanced, resulting in your improved staff morale and communication with your stakeholders. What that means is when people call in to complain about the buses, you're Johnny on the spot, and get right back to them and make sure that you're resolving their issues. The addition of the operations management position, again, excuse my allergies, to the Transportation Department has really greatly improved your planning and your stakeholder outreach in that area. And then your Fulshire Bus Terminal has reduced your dead time travel, because again, 385 square miles, that really helps with your efficiency from getting the kiddos around. Key recommendations: develop a comprehensive management or strategic plan for the department to ensure that the department's goals and objectives are in line with your educational goals and your priorities and your strategic plan. Hire 2 additional FTE for fleet maintenance mechanics. Define your fleet replacement plan to make sure that you're keeping up with it. And then acquire technology to support the communication needs for the district. And then lastly, accelerate your implementation of the fleet management software. Next slide. The technology, your accomplishments. The district has an active board technology committee that meets regularly to review the technology issues in the district. Are you effectively using your E-rate funds? And then you're effectively using your bond funding to support the community hardware and refresh strategy. Thank you. I'm so sorry. My allergies are just really, really bad. Adopt key recommendations. Adopt a staffing formula to be included in your methodology to assess and determine the appropriate PC technicians that's needed for your schools. Establish a business system analyst role to provide functional knowledge for all your munis and business system modules. Develop LCISD standards and style guides for your campus websites. Revise your performance indicators to measure the technology at your different schools. And then lastly, establish a business system analyst to provide functional knowledge and training for all your business users. Next slide and the last slide. Your key accomplishments: safety and security. You have a strong partnership with your visual imagery, and it looks like it's misspelled, but that is what it is, imagery. It's a development which develops your VIP planning software outline. They've done that. It's a great partnership. Your key recommendations are reorganize your safety and security functions, develop an annual safety and security training plan that makes sure you're monitoring it. Maintain a safety committee to address district-wide needs and recommendations. Obtain approval to distribute your policies and procedures. And then lastly, determine the level of safety and security reporting needed for the district's compliance with your comprehensive incident reports. Last slide. Questions? And I'd probably take a little.
We're going to forego questions from the board tonight because
Very good.
This has been an iterative process that's literally gone on for months, thousands of questions back and forth. And for the board members, this is their first peek at it. So what we're planning on doing, we're going to have a workshop before the next board meeting where we'll have an opportunity to go over this in detail for an hour and a half or so, and we'll try to establish that timing on that tonight. At that point in time, the board can ask all their questions, and then after that, we can formally accept this report as a board. This will not be for general distribution yet because the board has not accepted it since you haven't seen it. So that will be the plan, and we'll ask you a lot of questions during that, and we'll establish the time hopefully tonight.
Again, I just want to thank you all for your cooperation, and we really appreciate it working for the district. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The volume of this audit exceeded everyone's expectations, I believe. I think we now have a presentation on the Holger Center, Dr. Randall.
We do.
Our latest Holsworth adventure took us to Canada, and so we're happy to share this evening some of our learning experiences there and the growth and some of the changes that we've been able to bring back to LCISD. Canada gave us two major takeaways when we went there. One of them was the diversity is even greater than that of Fort Bend County. And the way that diversity is approached is unique in its candor, optimism, and intentionality in bringing peoples together from all over the world. The second thing we brought back with us is the likeness to the Texas school system in many ways, and the way they establish their leadership definition and pipelines to continue a strong foundation of principles within their school districts. As part of the development of our district principles, we were asked to determine those things that we will do as a district, as leadership members, and the things that we will never, ever do as leaders or in the district. Those we'll share with you at the end of this presentation to give you an idea of our next step as our district moves forward. We were privileged on day one to hear Catherine McCullough speak to us. Catherine is a leader throughout the Ontario system in establishing and guiding change there that has made it one of the landmark districts in the entire world. We worked with her on long-term improvement efforts, how they did it and what they did in the Ontario system, on their leadership framework, on the 9 characteristics that the strongest districts throughout the world have in common. And so we were able to begin to incorporate some of those practices already into our district improvement plan and to our approaches for our upcoming strategic envisioning sessions. And finally, she worked with us on how and why equity is used to drive decision making. Their district is even more diverse, as I said, than we are. And as you went into the schools, you could see children. It was very odd to see any race or culture predominant within a school. They were that diverse. There are people from all over the world there, from Japan, from India, from the Middle East, to even native Inuit tribes there. It was an amazing tapestry of different cultures and races. When we began this journey, they made a point of sharing with us how intentional they are about creating equity in the approach to all of the students that they serve. And the candor in which they do that is really outstanding. They face it head on. There are no hidden agendas or things that go unsaid. It's talked about very openly that we will not discriminate against any person within our school system. These statements, these questions were taken from a principal's training manual in Durham School District where one of our teams visited. And they say it's worth reading them out loud. If his child is poor, how will it affect them? Can they still afford it? Will his religious beliefs be accepted? Will a disability be accommodated? Will the color of their skin be an issue? And if the answer is yes to those questions, then what will we do about it? And the principals are expected to have an answer to those questions. Their frame around all of that is doing nothing is complicity in that type of discriminatory behavior. And they're very upfront about it. They talk about it, again, very openly. On day 2, we visited campuses in both Durham, Toronto, and the York school boards. And it was easy to see as we went through those visits how they identified their leaders, how decisions were made. It was very clear cut, much like Singapore. These are the things that central office will do. These are the things that campuses have the power to do. And that clarity added a certain simplicity to the way things operated. It was very smooth, very efficient. And then the equity evolution again, and how that affected their decision making. This is one of the bulletin boards that you can see they're very, again, intentional and instructing on it. And this one spoke to a lot of us. Never doubt that a small group or of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Many of us are familiar with that quote from Margaret Mead, but the students took that and created this tapestry of different pieces that they had all worked on together. And if you see on the right-hand corner, it says, what could happen if we collected all of our positive acts of change? What could we build? I thought that was a powerful statement, too, for the students to see every day and know that they were responsible for creating this. And finally, we spent a day of mentoring and coaching. And here you see Miss Cack doing her mentoring and coaching. It was quite powerful. We were learning how to build capacity. And you can't do it for them. You have to move back from the fire. These are some of the quotes from the training session. Building capacity is the fundamental mandate of all educators. The goal has to matter to the mentee. They have to own the work because they will then own the results. All of those were pieces of our training that day. And it was really exciting to see. We're hoping that we'll be able, exploring bringing the trainers down to Texas. When we go through the university system, we see a lot about how to operate within the financial system that districts use. We learn a lot about guiding instructional programs, operating a building, but what we don't learn are those soft skills on how you mentor and coach teachers to be better versions of themselves. And so this was a really unique experience and a powerful one to bring back. I'd like to ask now if Dr. Bowen will come up in preparation for sharing the things that our cabinet decided that our district would always do, and then the things that we would never do. But before doing that, I want to conclude with day 3 and Dr. John Malloy speaking to us. So many times when we hear speakers in powerful positions or public positions, we tend to get the shrink-wrapped, powerful version with the right sound bites and the right visuals and the right everything. Dr. John Malloy is one of the most passionate educators I have ever heard, and I think we can all agree he was the only speaker of the many wonderful international leaders we have heard that got a resounding standing ovation the moment he finished. He was so moving and so passionate and so student-centered. You couldn't help but appreciate the message that he put out there. He is the Director of Education of the Toronto District School System and was served as the Assistant Deputy Minister and Chief Student Achievement Officer with the Ontario Ministry of Education. He walked away from a national role to go back to the Toronto District School System simply because he felt like that's where he could make the biggest difference. It's an amazing thing to see someone who turns their back on the power and politics to get back in the trenches with the rest of us. He's also born and bred in Ohio. He's an American who moved to Canada and has dual citizenship now. So we were kind of proud of the fact that while he might be very powerful in Canada, it was the United States that raised him that way. He was our dinner speaker, and we were very proud that Dr. Randall was chosen to give him his thank you gift, and we believe that the two men have very much in common. So with that, Dr. Bowen, would you share the things that LCISD and our leadership role that we'll be rolling out and sharing with the entire district, that these are the things we will always do in LCISD?
As Ms. Vogt mentioned, one of our tasks was to define what we would always do, and we started with, we will always personally model the character traits that we wish for our students to develop. We will always demonstrate our faith in people by setting high goals. We will always hold ourselves accountable for the results we achieve. We will always have the courage to innovate when there is a risk of failure. We will always act as learners ourselves by relentlessly pursuing new information, strategies, and approaches. We will always laugh, be joyful, and occasionally sing. We will always support each other by celebrating success, circling the wagons, or giving encouragement during a struggle. We will always act as though we were spending our own money. We will always focus on the right thing, and we will always be the family for those who have none. You want to do that? Yeah.
These are the things that LCISD leaders will never do. We will never allow race, culture, economic status, or intellect dictate the opportunities of our students. We will never ignore or rationalize the data and evidence in order to maintain the comfort of the status quo. We will never avoid a risk for fear of failure. And we will never compromise the trust of our parents by abusing the faith they have in us to love their children. That concludes our presentation. Do you have any questions for us?
Well, they're lucky.
No question, just amazed and impressed.
Yes.
That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And would also remind everyone, so that there's no confusion, all of the expenses associated with Holsworth is paid by Holsworth and not by taxpayers in Lamar CISD. Just like this board does not get paid for their work as well.
We don't?
You don't.
We get paid every time. Every time we go to Beasley and we hear those
Yes.
kids read. Every time we see those kids in the National Honor Society Arredondo, we get paid.
There you go. Tenfold.
Tenfold. Thank you so much. I don't believe you have any items for closed session. Future agenda items, anybody have anyone?
Did we need to set a date for?
We're getting ready to do that
Okay.
next. Upcoming meetings and events.
Okay.
And don't leave tonight before you get your book, because you're going to need that. Again, we want to have a workshop. We haven't had our team building sessions yet, so we're going to have a workshop that combines a couple things. One, we will have a presentation from McConnell and Jones folks, where each of you will have an opportunity to go through this in some detail. You will have read it by then, I presume, and be able to ask the questions. And then we will move into a facilitated session by a couple ladies from the Holsworth Center to develop Dr. Randall's objectives for next year, something as the boards have never done. And we will use the SMART process as we have been introduced to. So we want to, right now, I'd like to establish a date for that if we can. We can do that in a long evening, or we can do it on a Saturday afternoon. So I'd like to hear some input from the board. What would you prefer? Evening? All right, evening. The folks from McConnell and Jones, they say they have December the 4th or the 5th available. Either one? All right, I will contact our facilitators from the Holsworth Center and see if those dates are amenable to them. Right now, we target the 4th and the 5th for a long evening work to go over the audit.
Would that be like beginning at 6:30 or 6? Or?
It'd be more like 6 o'clock, because we're going to be here till late.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much for that. If there's nothing else to bring before this board, this meeting is adjourned at 8:02. Thank you, everybody.